You invest a lot of time and effort to put in a good crop and get a great yield. But nowadays it's getting more important that you do everything you can to maximize performance on the inputs you purchase. That's what we're talking about in this new series, maximizing performance on different parts of your operation. In this installment, we are looking at inputs. We caught up with Bryce Knorr, senior editor of Farm Futures magazine, during the 2009 Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois. First, Bryce talks a little bit about what happened at the end of 2008 that made buying nitrogen for your operation quite interesting, to say the least.
The fertilizer market, particularly the nitrogen market, was one of the most volatile commodities in the world last year. Believe it or not, fertilizer prices dropped something like 95% just in a matter of a few weeks in the fall of 2008. Really one of the most dramatic moves that we've ever seen, from record price levels where basically no nitrogen was available to the market to the point where no one was buying and there was actually a glut on the market. Some of the lowest prices we've seen in a decade or more for nitrogen. Now prices have come back to more normal levels. The market has stabilized, and it looks like we're trying to return to our normal seasonal pattern for nitrogen, and that means the best time to buy nitrogen is during the summer when suppliers tend to sell off any remaining inventory, and if you have on-farm storage, that's the time to load up for your fall fertilizer, and also that's the best time to be pre-booking supplies from your dealer, because he can probably get it cheaper through barges at the Gulf of Mexico at that time. Another good time to buy can be after the fall application season. Again, dealers may not want to carry inventory all winter, particularly if their cash is tight. So sometimes you can pick up some excess supplies then as well, and that's also can be a good time to buy. Now nitrogen, we used to talk about natural gas prices driving nitrogen, because nitrogen is natural gas is the primary feedstock for nitrogen-based fertilizers. And that used to be true until 4 or 5 years ago, when nitrogen became much more of a world market. When natural gas prices reached some all-time highs a few years ago, domestic producers here in the U.S. Shut down their factories, and they've been slow to restart them. So most of the nitrogen that farmers use is actually imported from the Caribbean and from the Middle East, also some from the Black Sea. So again, this is another market where the international markets really drive things much more than what's happening domestically. Producers have to be following not only the price at the Gulf, but the price out of the Black Sea.
Bryce also talked about what you can do to work with your dealers or look at the market to improve the way you buy inputs. In today's volatile commodity market, everything you do on one end can make a big difference on the opposite end at harvest time. It is a game of pennies, and every penny you invest makes a big difference. Let's listen to what Bryce has to say about input buying for the 2010 crop season.
When farmers look at their input buying decisions, they really need to kind of approach this the same way they approach selling their corn, soybeans, wheat, and other commodities that they produce, because they're basically taking the long side of the market as opposed to when they sell their crops taking the short side. Have to follow a lot of the same factors and watch prices very closely. Sometimes it can be hard to get information on input prices such as fertilizer, but there are more and more sources available, and by following those trends they can get a sense for what's affecting the market and when might be the best time to buy. Most of these markets, let's say for diesel oil and particularly for fertilizer, have seasonal trends. Now for fuel oil, farmers actually affect that seasonal trend because prices tend to be strongest when farmers are busy in the field using a lot of diesel fuel. So the best time to buy diesel is when farmers aren't in the field. That's after harvest and during the mid to late summer, after all the spring and summer field work is completed. Now for fertilizer, sometimes the seasonal trends can get a little bit mixed up due to strong international demand. And that's one thing you have to watch for, is that China and India, for fertilizers like potash, they really drive the market. And it doesn't matter what we're doing here in the United States so much. matters what's happening in India and China. The other factor really to watch is some of the outside markets, such as the stock market, the dollar, and how they may influence the overall mood of investors, because that can take crude oil prices dramatically lower and also have an impact, believe it or not, on fertilizer costs.
And that's what you need to think about when you're looking at input buying going into 2010 and perhaps beyond. Again, as commodity prices remain highly volatile in this market, everything we do on the front end makes a difference on the back end. I'm Willie Vogt for Farm Progress, and you've been watching Maximizing Performance, a focus on input buying.